So I just ended up rewatching bits of the Drag and Drop review from At the Screening, which is a collab review series that Thespio and Voice of Reason did last year for the final season of MLP. And it got me thinking, when you come down to it, and you really think about it, Drag and Drop was kind of a love letter to a lot of the fans that supported the whole Sparity ship and still do to this day. The reason I mean that, or basically I mention that, is due to the fact that when you look at previous episodes throughout the season, and even the movie, there are times when Rarity would show kind of a flirtatious attraction or an obsession attraction to another male character, and Spike in turn would kind of have a bit of jealousy creep up on him. I mean, you want a good example, look at the MLP movie. When they first meet Capper, and Capper acts the way he does towards mostly towards Rarity, Spike gets a little jealous. He doesn't like the idea that, Rarity's being won over by this unknown male character that they just met. So, when you get down to it, Drag and Drop, to me, as strangely as it may sound, is a love letter. Because now, for the first time ever in the series, you have the roles reversed. You have Rarity being jealous at the fact that Spike's spending time with Gabby, but not understanding that it's not in a way that's taking him away from her, but mostly it's being done as a friendly kind of friendship, pen pal, get-together situation. As strange as that may sound. But basically that's what it is. And to basically make the story intriguing, you have Rarity misunderstanding the situation because in her mind, she's always used to Spike, ready and able at any time to go and help her because he has deep feelings for her. And a good example of that, especially if it stays in continuity, his best gift ever when he sang his song to her, which was his gift to her, which is pretty much a love song, a romance song, expressing fully in front of everyone there, including Shining Armor, his brother, if you will, his big brother, and his sister-in-law, Cadence. He's basically expressing, how he feels. He's basically expressing how he feels to Rarity in front of them all. And Rarity is touched by this. I mean, I've mentioned it before, I'll mention it again. Her reaction when they zoom in on her a little bit when he starts singing to her is she puts a hoof over her heart and she has stars in her eyes. And usually anybody that knows about a romance trope utilized in any kind of media, that when a female character has that happen to them, basically the stars in the eyes and the hand or hoof over the heart, that basically is a sign of they now get it. That now they see exactly what this other character is telling them, and in that case, it's love. In other words, they're telling them right then and there, they love them, that they mean more to them than just as a friend. That the friendship means more to them than just a regular friendship. And that's basically the message that Rarity received in that moment. And I think basically in a continuity sense, that if you want to look at it that way, Rarity probably pretty much figured that, hey, since her and Spike are now closer than ever before, if you know what I mean, that he'd be willing and able at any time to join her, especially when it goes to diamond or jewel spelunking in the caves. But he doesn't do that because he's promised to go meet up and spend time with a new friend that he's gotten to know through pen pal letters, in Gabby the Griffin. And again, this is where, as crazy as it sounds, the love letter, like I said, the love letter portion of this episode to the fans comes into play because now you have Rarity in that role that we have seen Spike constantly in. And I know it may sound strange to a lot of people to hear that, but if you go and watch at the screening in their review of Dragon Drop, you have Thespio, Dal Wilsonator, basically acknowledging, such happenings, if you will, in the episode himself. I mean, yeah, he jokes around at the fact that the true winner out of all this is Spike because he has 2 girls wanting to spend personal time with him, stuff like that. But, at least in a joking matter, I think Will Thespio, he gets it. He understands it. He sees that this is basically a love letter to the Sparity fans and supporters. Those that back the ship, no matter how many times it was focused on, given its moments, whatever. This basically was a love letter to the fans saying, thank you for the support of the show and for your support of these 2 characters kind of being very close to each other. And again, as strange as it may sound, that's what it felt like to me. It felt like it was a love letter. Because honestly, if it wasn't, and it truly was the end of the Sparity ship, they could have had the episode end after everything was, straightened out, all talked about, whatever. All 3 of them becoming good friends, and such. They could have easily ended the episode with Spike and Gabby flying off to spend time together like they were planning, and Rarity walking off towards maybe her boutique to get her items that she needed for spelunking in the caves with whoever she brought with her. And, they didn't do that. What they did instead was they ended it with Spike showing up and basically uttering the line, and basically not uttering the line, but basically saying the line that, he'll always want his Rarity time. In other words, basically putting his hand out for her hoof, saying, yeah, me and Gabby are good friends, we had a great time together, but I'll always want my Rarity time. I'll always want to spend time with you. And, that's about it. Again, they could have easily ended it with Spike going off with, Gabby flying off with her and Rarity going, her and going off to do her thing, but they didn't. They decided to add that moment in there to leave the door open, for fans to still speculate. In fact, Jim Miller, in an interview he did last year, and he's even said the same stuff to me. Stuff like, what they did at the end of Dragon Drop is to leave the door open for speculation and interpretation and implication by the fans, to kind of to allow their imaginations to work out and figure, okay, what was the next step, what happened next, kind of deal. And another reason I think they left it open, when you really think about it, is you go back to that Friendship is Forever spin-off that they did, interconnecting mid-quill series that they did in between the ending of the end part 2 and Last Problem. Basically, the one that takes place in between the last problem and during the flashback, during the coronation or before the coronation. You have Starlight and Spike going off to meet up with the rest of the main 6 or main 7, main 8, or whatever you want to call it, as well as the princesses, to get memories to fill in for a memory book or a book of memories that they're going to present, or Starlight's going to present to Twilight after the coronation. And I want you to take a look at, the first episode of the Friendship is Forever deal. Because in that first episode, it's based around Rarity, I believe. And with Rarity, you have her and Twilight talking and reminiscing. And then when they bring up Spike and, Rarity's connection with him, you see the little hearts go above Spike's head. He's blushing. He's got that look on his face, which Starlight notices and kind of gives him a little teasing look, like, oh, really, kind of deal, before, Spike has to shut the album real quickly to, because he doesn't want her to see these memories, because these are personal for him in Twilight. Um, you know, they didn't have to add that moment in there, but they added it because, again, it's due to the fact that, in my opinion, the way they ended Drag and Drop is they left the door open for fans to speculate and interpret and imply, but also for the fact that they had this scene, you know, added into or put into the Friendship is Magic, Friendship is Forever first episode, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, again, I truly believe Drag and Drop was a love letter to the fans because it brought a lot of stuff full circle. I mean, you even have the girls that are helping out Rarity, from Applejack to Rainbow to Pinky to even Fluttershy, you know, kind of acknowledging, and even Twilight, acknowledging that, you know, how special Spike's been to Rarity, because Rarity's always bringing up the fact that they're not doing as good a job or something that, you know, that Spike would do. And each of them has to basically acknowledge that, hey, well, we're not Spike, but then acknowledge that, hey, the reason Spike does this for you all the time is because you mean a lot to him, or this is why and that's why. Trying to basically make her realize, hey, the reason you're missing Spike now is you basically, you know, have realized that he means more than you than just as a friend, and you're afraid of losing that. And again, they bring up all these reasonings and moments. But overall, like I said, with all that combined, and then even what happens afterwards in Friendship is Forever, as well as what takes place before with Best Gift Ever, and then you get that little 20-second moment at the beginning of Between Dark and Dawn. Yeah, there's no doubt that when you look at Drag and Dropped as a whole, that it was a love letter to the fans, and it's always going to be a love letter to the fans, in my opinion, as strange as it may sound, because, again, the roles were reversed, and the way they ended it, it basically opened the door and left it open for fans to imply, interpretate, and wonder. And when you look at what happens afterwards, yeah, you know, I think pretty much that door, that, you know, interpretation, that implication by fans of wondering what could have happened, pretty much became canon. So, yeah, in my opinion, Drag and Dropped is a love letter to the fans of Sparity and of the show, but mostly those that supported the ship, you know, throughout the entire near-decade run of the show. So, that's all I can say, guys. Let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like. Have a good night. Stay safe. I am out.